Hey everyone, welcome to A Great Alternative. In episode number 3 of this cordage series, I'm going to be making cordage out of dandelion. You probably know the score, but for those of you that don't, what I do is I'll cover like the IDing, harvesting, uses of the plant first up, reading from my trusty script, and then I'm gonna show you how I make the cordage. It's not really about how I make it because I deliberately am making stuff exactly in the same way. A 2-ply, super simple method for every single time. So that we can then, which is the other important bit, is at the end of the video when I cover what I've learned from using and making cordage out of that specific material, and would I recommend it to yourselves. The common dandelion plant thrives in temperate regions that can be found in yards, gardens, sides of roads, among crops, and in many other habitats. Identifiable by the bright yellow flower heads packed with petals and toothed green leaves growing from the base of the plant. Also, the characteristic fluffy globe-shaped seed clocks. Also, the milky latex within a fresh stem can cause diarrhea. So be wary when you're harvesting this one. If you get it on your fingers, don't then put your fingers in your mouth, or just use gloves. It can be used for a few different reasons, including cordage. For example, you can eat the leaves or potentially even make coffee from the root. On to harvesting. Cut it from the bottom, harvest in little bits after it spread its seed, not all from the same area because harvesting will stimulate new growth. This was my first mistake of the day, where I thought that it had spread its seed already because the flower's petals open and you get that lovely yellow flower, then it closes, then it turns into the fluffy globe that, you know, we all know when we think of dandelions. I collected it before the fluffy globe section for some of these. Some of these were done, but because in this small area, I thought they were all going to be basically the same at the same stage. And they looked to me at the time at the same stage. I now know how to see the difference between it's flowered and hasn't yet gone to seed and then compared to it's gone to seed. What that then ended up meaning, which will get me onto my second mistake, is they ended up opening up when they were hung up like this, because there's a dandelion here. My mistake was how I prepared and hung them. It was super simple. I should have just hung them indoors because you want well ventilated, dry, and hopefully not too warm, I don't think, because you don't want them to dry out too quickly, but at the same time, definitely not too cold. This is where they were hung up. So if I take this off, you can see they're fairly close together. That could be the mistake. It maybe I needed to spread them out a little bit more, but I think the major one is just too much moisture has got in, and what's then happened is it's got moldy all on the outside. But this video and this channel is about a beginner learning from others and learning from projects that they're doing. So I've learned from this, I've learned how that I would store it next time. I would definitely take this inside next time. And for today, cut off all the mold and then come back to you once I've done that. Okay, now prepared. So let's get started. Get yourself a bundle. Make sure that it's kind of even thickness and it's not like you've grabbed everything where the end of the stem or plant or leaf, whatever, is at one end and the top, or what would be the top of the leaf or stem or plant, is at the other end. You're getting a mixture, maybe you swap things over, and like this here, they all kind of end at different lengths. Bearing in mind that when I'm doing this first twist, that's not the diameter of your cordage, it's double that. So actually, I think I needed to go a lot thinner than what I started out as. Twist, and then it will, whoop, there we are, it will snap like that into place. So let me try and do that again. Snap into place, and it just curls itself over, and then it's just continuing that twist, and then over, like this. Twist, over, like that. And that's it. And then I'm going to, the way I've been attaching new ones, instead of going underneath, again, I mentioned this in the thin plantain cordage. Sally Pointer, great channel, go watch her channel if you're interested in making various types of cordage, netting, that kind of stuff. Instead of going underneath like this and then having a bit stick out, you put it on both sides and then just continue as normal. Twist, over, twist, twist over. And the reason for doing that is that it's a bit of a stronger join, because like most people say, your cordage is only as strong as the weakest point. For now though, I'm just going to continue until I've used up all these fibres here. Another quick thing to note for this one is that I'm adding a new piece almost every single twist. Between every 1 to every 3 twists, I'm adding a new piece. And often when I'm adding a new piece, I do leave an old piece behind, if that makes sense. So the end of one of the bits that are further up, to try and keep that consistency in the diameter of the cordage. Just broke my table. I leant on it and this bit snapped. This is actually my landlady's table, but it was one that she just left to disrepute, which is why it's kind of got a bit mucked up. I cannot wait to have a workshop of my own. So what have I learned? I really like the colour. There's definitely like a waxiness to this, and that is good and bad in regards to working with it as a cordage. It's really nice to work with. So unlike, for example, this one, this is made from the stems of thin plantain. That was very abrasive, basically. So therefore, from doing that for a little while, I was almost cutting my hands. Not actually like slicing into them, but it was very abrasive, and after a while did hurt. This I could do all day. Other than holding my muscles in my hands because I'm clamping with my hand, other than that maybe aching after a little while, I probably could do this all day. It was a brilliant, lovely material to work with. But the waxiness, as potentially not a great thing, comes into play when it's, like say, drying out, what it will be like as it dries out now. Like right now, lovely and flexible. I could use this and do quite a few different things with it. Fairly strong. And overall, would I recommend it? It's a plentiful plant. It grows in most open kind of grassland spaces. One thing with dandelion, I was lucky, literally right outside, that's where this came from. And it was because it was competing, I guess, up against other things, it grew really tall. In the average playing field, whatever, I've not really seen it grow that tall. Like, obviously it must do, but it's something that to grow that tall is quite rare. So therefore, if you're harvesting it, you're only harvesting little bits, and that makes it a little bit more of a faff for making it. So if you want to work with something that it has long fibres, that means once you get started, you can just make really long pieces of cordage, I wouldn't necessarily say this is for you. Otherwise, it's plentiful, nice end product, fairly easy to harvest, prepare, and use. So, dandelion. There we go. So that's it for today. Thanks everyone. If you're enjoying these episodes, please like the video, share it with a friend, or most importantly, subscribe and comment if you have any tips, or if there's any weird and wonderful things that you've made cordage with. Please comment down below. Otherwise, thanks again everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.